You're sitting somewhere right now, maybe a room, maybe a cafe, maybe lying in bed with the glow of a screen on your face. And for a moment, just a flicker, you might wonder, how much of this is actually real? Not in a paranoid way, not like you're losing your grip, just quietly, the way you sometimes catch yourself in a mirror and feel like you're watching a stranger. If reality is a simulation, and maybe it isn't, then the first question isn't how it works. It's not about code or physics or who's running the program. The first question is simpler and stranger. Who's the one noticing? Because here's the thing, if you're inside the simulation, you shouldn't be able to see it. A character in a game doesn't know it's being rendered. A dream figure doesn't wake up and say, "Wait, I'm dreaming." And yet, something in you does notice. Something steps back. Something watches. So what is that? This video isn't going to tell you whether we're living in a simulation, and I'm not sure it even matters as much as we think it does. What matters is this. If you can observe the simulation, then you can't be in it. At least not entirely. At least not in the way you think you are. And that opens a different kind of question. Not about the world, about you. I want to be clear. This isn't a channel that claims to have the answers. We're not here to preach or convince. We explore, we ask, we sit with the mystery together. Science, philosophy, spirituality, they all point at something we can't quite name. And maybe that's okay. So if you're curious about what it means to be the thing that notices, if you've ever felt like there's something behind your thoughts, watching them unfold, stay with me, because we're not going to solve this. We're going to feel it. Let's start with the most familiar thing you know, yourself, your name, your memories, the way you react when someone cuts you off in traffic or says something that lands wrong. The preferences, the patterns, the little loops of thought that feel like you, all of it. The entire structure of your identity might just be generated, not in some distant theoretical way. Right now, your brain is constantly predicting what comes next. It's filling in gaps, smoothing over inconsistencies, building a story about who you are and what's happening. Neuroscientists call it predictive processing. Your experience of reality isn't a direct feed. It's a simulation your brain is running in real time, trying to make sense of incomplete data. And the self? That's part of the simulation too. A self-model. A character your brain constructs to navigate the world. It feels continuous, stable, like you've been the same person your whole life. But that continuity is stitched together after the fact. Memory is selective, identity is fluid. The you from 10 years ago would barely recognize the you reading this now. This isn't new. Mystics have been saying it for thousands of years. Maya in Hinduism, the illusion of separateness. Plato's cave, shadows mistaken for reality. Buddhism's anatta, the teaching that there is no fixed self. They all point to the same thing. The person you think you are is a construct, a necessary one, maybe, but a construct. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. If the self is simulated, who notices that? Think about it. The character in the game can't step outside the game and see the code. The dream figure can't wake itself up. And yet, something in you can step back. Something watches your thoughts. Something notices when you're lost in a story about yourself. Something sees the self-model for what it is. So what is that something? It can't be the self because the self is what's being observed. It can't be another thought because thoughts are part of the simulation too. It's something else. Something that doesn't depend on memory or personality or the brain's predictions. Something that was there before you had a name. Something that will be there when the story of your life ends, in the quiet awareness that remains when everything else falls away. That's not the simulated self, that's the observer, and it doesn't live inside the simulation. So if the self is just a character in the simulation, where does that leave awareness? Because awareness is different. You can observe your thoughts, but you can't observe awareness itself. You can study the contents of your mind, the emotions, the images, the running commentary, but the thing doing the studying, that slips away the moment you try to grab it. It's like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror, or like a flashlight trying to illuminate itself. Awareness is always the subject, never the object. It's the screen on which everything appears, but it's not one of the things appearing. Think about a dream. While you're dreaming, the entire world feels real. There are people, places, events unfolding. You might even have a body in the dream, a sense of self. But when you wake up, you realize none of it was separate from you. The mountains, the conversations, the fear you felt, all of it was appearing within your awareness. The dream wasn't happening somewhere else, it was happening in you. And here's the question that changes everything. What if waking life works the same way? Not that it's literally a dream, but that the structure is the same. The world you experience, the room you're in, the device in your hand, the thoughts moving through your mind, all of it is appearing within awareness. Not your awareness, like it's a personal possession, just awareness. The field in which experience happens. This is what philosophers call phenomenology. The study of how things appear, and what it reveals is simple but disorienting. You've never actually experienced anything outside of awareness. Every sensation, every perception, every memory, it all shows up within consciousness. You've never touched the world directly. You've only ever encountered the world as it appears to you, which means the simulation, if that's what we're calling it, isn't out there. It's in here. It's not happening in some external machine. It's happening in the only place anything has ever happened, within the space of awareness. And if that's true, then the observer isn't inside the simulation at all. The simulation is inside the observer. You are not a character looking out at the world. You are the presence in which the character and the world both arise. The frame, the context, the quiet background hum that's always been there, so constant you stop noticing it. But now you are noticing. And that noticing itself, that's not simulated, that's not generated, that's not constructed by your brain or your identity or your history. That's what you actually are. But even that might not be the deepest layer. So awareness is the frame, the space in which everything appears. But here's where it gets even stranger. What is aware of awareness? Because you can notice awareness itself, can't you? You can sense that quiet presence. You can feel the openness in which thoughts arise and dissolve, which means there's something even deeper than awareness, something observing the observer. In some traditions, they call it turiya, the fourth state, beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. A kind of witnessing that doesn't participate in experience but simply is. In Advaita Vedanta, it's called Atman, the self with a capital S, not the personal self, not the character in the story, but the unchanging witness that's always been watching. Zen calls it the unconditioned mind, the part of you that was never born and can never die, the part that doesn't think or feel or act, but remains silently aware while all of that happens. And in modern philosophy, people like Bernardo Kastrup point to something similar. Analytic idealism, the idea that consciousness isn't produced by matter, it's the other way around. Matter is what consciousness looks like from the outside. And at the root of it all is one universal field of awareness, experiencing itself through countless forms. But none of these are beliefs you're supposed to adopt. They're pointers, fingers pointing at the moon. And the moon is this. There's something in you that has never changed, something that watched you as a child, something that will be here in your final breath, something that doesn't age, doesn't evolve, doesn't learn or grow or become anything other than what it already is. It's not personal. It doesn't belong to you. It's more like you belong to it. And here's the paradox. You can't find this observer because it's not an object. It's not a thing you can point to or pin down. The moment you try to locate it, you're already using it to look. It's like asking, where is the space that contains space? The question collapses in on itself, but you can feel it when thinking stops and there's just presence. Pure, simple, radiant presence. And if that presence is the deepest thing you are, then what does that make the simulation? Because if the observer and the observed aren't really separate, if awareness and experience are two sides of the same thing, then the boundary you've been assuming between you and the world, between the watcher and the watched, might not exist at all. Which brings us to the final question. What happens when the simulation looks back? There's a moment that happens sometimes, maybe in meditation, maybe staring out a window, maybe in the middle of an ordinary afternoon when nothing special is happening at all. You're watching your thoughts, observing the stream of sensation and memory and internal chatter. And then, for just a second, the watching turns back on itself. Awareness becomes aware of awareness. And in that moment, something shifts. Because when awareness tries to observe itself, it doesn't find an object, it doesn't land on a thing, it just opens. There's no separation anymore, no observer standing apart from what's being observed, just one seamless field of knowing. One presence, looking at itself from every angle, recognizing itself in everything it sees. This is what the non-dual traditions have been pointing to all along. The realization that the one observing and the thing being observed were never two separate things. They're the same movement, the same awareness, appearing to itself as subject and object, self and world, observer and simulation. In Advaita, they say it simply, tat tvam asi, you are that. The thing you've been searching for, the presence you've been trying to find, it was never anywhere else. It's what you are, what you've always been. And the emotional weight of that, it's hard to put into words, because if the observer isn't separate from the simulation, then you were never trapped, you were never small, you were never contained inside a body, inside a world, inside a story about yourself. All of that was appearing within you. The vastness you sensed outside, it was inside all along. The intimacy you felt in quiet moments, that was the truth of what you are, recognizing itself. It doesn't mean the world disappears. It doesn't mean your life stops mattering. It just means the center of gravity shifts from I am this small thing trying to survive in a big, uncertain reality to I am the presence in which reality appears. And that presence, it's not cold, it's not distant, it's closer than your breath, more intimate than your own heartbeat. It's the awareness reading these words right now, the one that's been here the whole time, quietly watching, never leaving, never judging, never needing you to be anything other than what you are. The simulation isn't the mystery. The observer isn't the mystery. The mystery is that they were never separate at all. And once you feel that, even for a second, everything changes because you've remembered what you've always known. So where does that leave us? We started with a question. If reality is a simulation, who's the one observing it? And the answer, if there is one, isn't what we expected. The observer was never inside the simulation. The simulation was always inside the observer. But even that isn't quite right, because inside and outside only makes sense when there's a boundary. And the deeper you look, the more that boundary dissolves. What you are, what's actually here beneath the name and the story and the sense of being a separate self, is the presence in which everything appears. The awareness that holds the world without being touched by it. The stillness that watches thoughts without becoming one. It's not something you need to find, you can't lose it. You can't improve it. It's already here, it's been here the whole time, quiet, patient, unmoving. And maybe that's the real shift, not understanding it, not believing it, just resting in it. Even for a moment, feeling what it's like to stop searching and simply be what you already are. Because if the observer and the observed are the same thing, if awareness and experience are two sides of one presence, then what is reality now? Not a question you answer with your mind, a question you live into. And maybe that's where the next exploration begins.